Hello, my lovelies. It seems that community cop, aka 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care, has produced the receipts on former New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo and his co-conspirator Al Sharpton, and K-Fighter is here to bring you all the tea. Check this out, y'all.
We believe Governor Andrew Cuomo has conspired with others to manipulate or coerce then Governor David Paterson not to run to be elected New York State governor. And we classified, or at least I coined, Andrew's Cuomo's situation as chicken come home to roost. Well, this week, David Paterson, for the first time, we learned, made some comments as it relates to what Andrew Cuomo was going through. Michael, why don't you update us on the comments made by former Governor David Paterson?
Well, let me say from the outset that I must commend you for what you did, Noel. You early on suspected, you smelled the rat, so your bloodhound ability, your ability to make sense out of nonsense and to do some deductive reasoning all came to the fore in this process. Now, what had happened was in 2006, Elliot Spitzer was looking for a running mate and was making considerations as to who Andrew Cuomo, who was running for state attorney general at that time, found out that Elliot Spitzer was close to picking David Paterson, who was a state senator, as his running mate. Andrew Cuomo, believe this or not, calls Spitzer and tells him, let me quote David Paterson's words. He said, I was always leery of him because he called Elliot Spitzer and said, if you consider David Paterson, you find out that David Paterson is erratic, he's disloyal, and things will come out that will make you wish you never chose him as a running mate. Now, doesn't that sound similar to what happened literally 4 years later?
Thanks.
Salacious stories. Now, I don't know how you knew to this day, Noel, that this was coming from the Attorney General's office, but you knew it. I told you, no, Noel, you probably, just, it's a quantum leap. You looking too far, but you was steadfast in your belief. And brother, let me just commend you that you were right. It was coming from the Attorney General. We didn't know that in 2006, it had already begun his plans on being the next governor. So he was already putting a story in Elliot Spitzer's ear about salacious details. He's erratic, he's disloyal, and saying, man, there's things about him that's going to make you embarrassed, man, that you picked him. So that was out in 2006. So in 2010, ergo, your past events show your future events. Okay. So what did he do? Put out stories about David Paterson so that he would not run again, and really tried to get him to step down. He tried to say sexual allegations about, supply room activity. He was having sex in the supply room in his office, that he was doing things with the GW Bridge, going across that for rendezvous, sexual rendezvous. And he mentioned drugs. He did everything under the sun to castigate David Paterson. And so which shows you there's no unity in the Democratic Party. It's doggy dog. So he did that, and as you aptly put it, this is the chickens coming home to roost, that now the very pot that he was stirring up with somebody else, he found himself in that same pot.
And it was easy, Michael, and I know you commended me, but it's very easy, based on all of our conversations. Whenever you see these kind of instances occurring, and not only what happened to David Paterson, but what's happening throughout the world, sometimes you just have to sit back and see when things don't look right, who's going to benefit over what's happening. And, it wasn't far-fetched to know that, at that time, New York State Attorney General Andrew Cuomo, he had previously wanted to run for governor, and he challenged with the Democratic leader at the time, who's the brother's name? Carl McCall, yeah. All the Democrats throughout the state stated that he should run for governor, and Andrew Cuomo was upset. And he challenged him initially. He made some subtle racist comments or planted some racist seeds and wound up backfiring on him. So when David Paterson was governor, because of what happened with Spitzer, I know that Andrew Cuomo snapped his finger and said, oh, man, he doesn't want to wait for 2 more terms or 8 more years for his shot at being governor. So when I heard these conspiracies, these salacious accusations against David Paterson, who, by the way, all of them was unproven, he never was convicted or never had any trial or anything, all of these allegations dissipated exactly after he agreed not to run for governor. They stopped.
And also...
All the newspapers in New York City stopped covering him in that manner. There was no mention of these so-called allegations. As soon as he mentioned that he would allow rabbits to crow the New York State budget, and something else they wanted, and that he wouldn't run for governor, all of this stopped. So, it was easy to figure out that when David Paterson announced that he wouldn't run for governor, and we found out that Andrew Cuomo announced that he was running for governor, it was easy for me to deduct where all of this was coming from. A closing comment.
And we had information, brother, that Reverend Sharpton had organized Black elected officials all over the city, so-called community leaders, and put out the word that David Paterson's got to go. This was done by supposedly a friend. Reverend Sharpton supposed to be friends with David Paterson, but he was taking direct orders from Andrew Cuomo. Cuomo had a Black stable of Black leaders and told them what to do without hesitation. He was in command, and he gave the order, and when the order went down to Sharpton to organize that dinner at Sylvia's restaurant, they were all there. They were organized, and that's why we beat them to the punch. When we saw that they was organized for that night, we went early that day and exposed them that they were going to do a thumbs down on Paterson, which embarrassed them. They never saw it coming, and the Attorney General's office wanted us to pull back our support for Paterson and promised us that they would stop question and frisk if we pulled back our support for Paterson.
Right. And they asked us
that's what they was.
Right. We were just about to do a press conference. We got phone calls asking us not to do the press conference and coming out because I'm pretty sure they seen our press release and they knew what we were talking about. And as you stated, Michael, that meeting that Reverend Sharpton organized at Sylvia Restaurant, the question was, should David Paterson step down? And if you're a supporter of David Paterson, you don't ask that question. If you meet, you say we're coming together to support him.
Yes.
And during the discussion, some issues come up, and you discuss, you debate them. But when you have as an agenda the idea or the suggestion, should he step down, that kind of shows that you're not really in support of him as a lot of people think you are. And as you stated, Michael, at that particular meeting at Sylvia's was a who politically in Black New York City and Black New York State. So.
Right. How do you even raise a question about Albany being unmanageable? That question has never been raised by Black elected officials with any governor in New York State history. Right. How do now, when you have the first Black governor in the state, how do now, out of nowhere, you agree that Albany is now unmanageable? David Paterson is a good guy, a real nice person. He's always had an open door policy as a state senator, and as the governor, he was always a down-to-earth, beautiful human being. And we always had a good relationship. We, meaning 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care, has always had a good relationship with David Patterson, and we respect him and love the man to this day. So I'm glad that he finally came out and said that he was always leery of Cuomo, which means he knew, because when he challenged Cuomo in 2006, Elliot Spitzer told him that he's saying such and such about you. He went to Cuomo and asked him, why'd you say that? He said that Cuomo act dumbfounded, like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.